Hello, welcome to a new episode of DevSecOps Talks with me, Matthias. And I have Andre and Paulina here as well. And we also have two guests, Ian and Matthias. Ian, who are you and what are you doing? And why are you here?
Good question. I'm Ian Amit. I'm the CEO and co-founder at Gombok AI. I'm a security practitioner. I've been in the security domain for more than 25 years now, mostly as a practitioner. Again, kind of grew through the ranks of hacking, pen testing, red teaming, all the way up to spending a few years as a CISO. And in the last 3 years, I've been running Gombok, which handles security for infrastructure, for application code, and helping people get better code.
And Matthias, who are you?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. My name is Matthias Madou. I'm the CTO and co-founder of Secure Code Warrior. My background, I'm a techie, I'm a technologist. I started my career at Ghent University here in Belgium, where I pursued a PhD in application security. And very specifically, I was working on static analysis. And Ian, you dated yourself 25 years ago, similar to me 25 years ago. There was only one company that was trying to make a dent, a startup that was making a dent in static analysis. And that company was called Fortify. So I joined Fortify roughly 20 years ago because that was right into the domain that I studied. And I've spent 7 years finding problems in code. I think we did an awesome job, but we also threw it over the wall to the developers, and then we ran away as fast as we could. So I thought, hey, let's do better. How can we help the developers? Can we be there for the developers? Yeah. Can we essentially get those damn security people off their back? And that's why we started a company called Secure Code Warrior. The philosophy is we want to be there for the developers. We want to help the developers in writing secure codes. And most recently, we're 12 years in business. Most recently, we have a big focus on AI governance, but very specific to the software developers, making sure that software developers know how to write code. Yes, Andre.
Just wanted to ask if you've been around in Ghent, where all the DevOps movement with Patrick Dubois started.
Yes, I do know Patrick Dubois.
Cool.
He's still quite active on the Belgium scene.
Paulina?
No, he's. I'm quite often in the Antwerp area, and he's still quite often quite active with the meetups and so on.
Oh, nice. So, yep. Belgium is the center of everything, I think.
Yeah.
It's a small world. Everybody knows each other.
Right.
But yeah, okay, so let's start with secure code, right? What do we mean with it? We also see secure code when you do compliance and things. There's always a check, you need to train the developer in secure code. But what do we mean with secure code? Ian, do you want to start? What is in your head when I talk about secure code? What would be the things that you think about?
When I'm coming from a security practitioner perspective, secure code means to me that there's not going to be any issues. It's less vulnerabilities. Actually, compliance kind of comes last because you can't really certify code as compliant. There's always going to be issues. But from a security perspective, and I'm not even looking at it from a vulnerability perspective, but more from a resilience. Because that means that code can be better maintained, which means that I can, transition it between different teams and not worry about it breaking down. Not even from a vulnerability perspective. I want to make sure that it's, as I said, maintainable, resilient, and can withstand the test of time. Again, Matthias and I go a long way back. By the way, Matthias, one of my investors, is one of the founders at Fortify. So we share similar roots in in the business. Roger and Barmack.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ballistic.
But it really boils down to those elements. And as a developer myself, when I'm looking at secure code, it's something that I would be proud in putting out there. And again, it means secure from vulnerabilities, resilient, defensible. That's really what it's all about. It's not necessarily just I found a vulnerability, I found a hack.
I like your answer, Ian. with a small twist, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So I like your answer, but it's also about just using secure coding patterns. I like it because yes, we can still find problems and fix them, but it's all about, hey, can we do the right things from the start? What are the secure coding patterns that we can use so that you won't find any problems? So
Correct.
no matter how you use this particular piece of code, you will not find any problems because it was securely designed.
But is it big difference from like regular how you would develop good code, like best code practices? Like, is it different between secure practices and best code practices here? Like, or are they kind of the same? Yeah.
They're the same.
Yeah, they're the same.
Yeah. But so I do think security is like a feature of quality. I think in general, if you create good code from a qualitative perspective, it should as well be secure. I think security is only a feature.
Isn't that also because, security can be something that we scan, right? It's hard to really scan code patterns like from the company, so that you're building something that's going to be small and like easy to deploy. It's hard to put a number on that, but security, we have like a CVE number we can put on that finding that we have and say, like, you know what, this has critical findings. But for regular code pattern, they're also very important. We don't have that level or like that diagram that we can add to the code to highlight different things, right?
I'd actually argue that, if you can scan for secure code and again, I'm not talking about, looking for signatures like in the old 45 days, but, you're looking at patterns. You're looking at vulnerabilities that might not have a CVE, but do have a pattern associated with them. To your point, Matthias, I think you can scan for the same patterns from a code quality perspective, from efficiency, from, again, defensibility. And those are the same patterns. But back to Matthias's point, security is just one of those quality features that you're looking at code, which means if you can scan for security, why can't you scan for quality? Why can't you scan for resilience and efficiency?
All right.
Just wanted to bring additional perspective into the time frame. I think we're going to be talking about shifting everything left, as we usually do. But I think there is a new perspective. So when it comes to the pen testing and the security issues reporting, we used to have like 90 days, give you a 90 days notice, and then everyone have time to patch and everything. But that seems to be changing. I think it feels like it's going out of the window because reverse engineering of patches used to be a hard, labor-intense process. But now, like with AI, Mythos is not available to everyone. That's being like the newest Anthropic model that is so scary, so they don't let anyone use it except of a low list of partners.
Right.
But anyhow, like even with the normal models now, reverse engineering of patches is possible, which means that as soon as patch goes out, there is no longer like Microsoft does. They have like a patch Tuesday, right? That goes out of the window because you're basically counting hours to the patch being reverse engineering and being exploited. So it feels like the need for more secure code going out is even higher right now, since you cannot really afford this time game where the stuff being explored outside. Like I'm not really sure how it's going to work because the way it's been working before, the constraints we had, they're no longer there. So it looks like the security landscape is going to be changing. So producing more secure code feels like even more important than it used to be before. So I just wanted to put that to everyone's radar. If you have
dumping my time schedule here, right? Yeah, this is like the point where we're adding to, and what you're really saying, like the new LLM we are thinking, or maybe thinking that they will find a lot of security things that we have no clue about, right? Old stuff, new stuff, everything, and that will bring new security findings up really fast, but it also make the time window from the finding to the exploit to like almost nothing. And this will put new obstacle, new things on our like pipeline for the secure coding, right?
I think also adding to it, one thing is finding, another thing is the speed with which we started producing code is, exponentially faster now. How fast we, especially, generating the code, testing and other parts are still a bit slower than this, but generating code increased a lot. So that's also, and then we have to scan all of it. So one thing is how much code we do, but another thing how much errors, issues, and security vulnerabilities is producing by scanning all of it as well. So the speed is just increased.
A little bit of closing thought on that before we hand over it to the guest is I feel there are two schools of thoughts on it. That all this vulnerability wave that is approaching will potentially be a one-off event, since we will just find all of it and fix it, and then like going forward we will apply AI whatsoever to address, so not to get new stuff in there, because right now we're sitting in a big pile of software built over 20-30 years that contains tons of hidden gems in it that have not been uncovered. But I feel that number of those historical things sitting in there is it's finite. It's possible to scrape it all, and maybe we'll develop a more advanced techniques, but it feels like it's finite still, like even if you're running the old software. Well, maybe we'll start to find like the government baked stuff in there that was really hard to find. But another school of thought is it will not get better. So that's something to be seen. So like one school of thought is it all will get better, and Matthias and Jan will be out of jobs very soon. Sounds like we will be just producing the perfect code, and we will fix the old stuff. Maybe it will not, and maybe that will continue for as long as humans are involved, since humans are perfect, and AI is trained on the humans.
And I think we're really distilling it to two distinct elements. And to your point, Paulina and Andre, on one hand, we have an acceleration in the pace that we can find issues with the 20, 30 years of existing code that we have. And we're doing the same thing that we did 10, 15 years ago, which is find a lot of stuff, throw it over to a developer, and that's where the bottleneck is. On the other hand, to Paulina's point, we're producing code now in a pace that, the mythical 10x coder, with LLMs producing more code than ever before. And I love the recent research that IOActive put out, where they tested from a security perspective. They looked at code that was generated by all the frontier models, and they looked at, they basically used the same prompts to generate a bunch of code, and they used different prompts as well to instruct the LLMs as far as the security aspects of it. And even the best effort with the newest models available still produced massive amounts of vulnerabilities. So to Paulina's point, we're producing, again, massive amounts of new code with unknown number of vulnerabilities. So we're really burning the candle on both ends, both from finding issues in ancient code like the OpenBSD from the early 90s, all the way down to producing massive amounts of new code base that has a lot of vulnerabilities in it. And I think what we're both Matthias and I and everyone here is trying to figure out is how do we remove the bottleneck? Because right now the bottleneck is still human. It's still doing the best effort to identify what's wrong, but at the end of the day, we're not helping ourselves as engineers, as practitioners, to fix it at the same pace that we're finding. And I think that is where a lot of companies, myself included, are working on to close that gap, to catch up with the finding. I'm And again, I'm curious to hear kind of what Matthias's take on it from developer education and equipping them with the right tools, with kind of to your point about AI governance and how to use it. What's your thoughts? Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack here in this conversation. Really, a lot. Like my brain is.
I know. I try to minimize it to like 2 different things, and I know each one of them has like a tree of 5.
So first of all, yes. So we've done very similar research. If you take different LLMs for different programming languages, they all create code which is not free from problems, and different LLMs essentially create different kind of problems. It's interesting to identify which problems what type of LLM is producing, but we're not there yet. At the same time, Andre, you brought up Mythos. It's more powerful, and I think we have to get used to more powerful models. Today it's Mythos, tomorrow it's going to be something else. But if you read through the Mythos description of all the test cases that they've done, it's all about finding problems, and it's also about fixing problems. But it's definitely more on the finding part, where they got some really good marketing materials out, and then also on the fixing part. In my view, if you look at how great products are built, it's quite often by not first focus on the finding the problems and the fixing the problems. If you think about a car, how do you design a car? Well, you think really, really hard about the design. And only when you're really set on how it's going to work and the security features and all of that, you're going to create the car. And yes, you will test it and fix the problems. But quite often you do not start with a crappy model and then say, well, we're only going to do that iterative process at the end. That is not how you efficiently create a product. Not a single product on planet Earth is created through that iterative model, a good product. So why would that be different with software? So how about we focus on the producing part first? And on the producing part, it's interesting. I think there's still going to be a human behind the keyboard, not necessarily creating code, but they will create apps, a feature creator. So we need to make sure that that person is a skilled person in what they do. Okay. Today, it's knowing about secure patterns to avoid SQL injection and cross-site scripting. Maybe tomorrow it's about which LLMs to use with what particular rules, and then use the right prompt, meaning if you do not ask it to add authentication in there, well, guess what? It's not going to add authentication in there. So that is very important. I do want to reference Paulina's point as well, which is, hey, but there's going to be simply more code and we will not be able to keep up. I agree, and I would like to make another analogy. So back in the day when movies were created by studios, suddenly a handheld camera came out. And everybody was like, oh my God, that's going to kill movie industry because now everybody can make movies. That is not true, right? Today, we still go to cinemas. We still watch movies that are professionally made. There's even going more money into movie creation than ever before. While at the same time, there's plenty of people making TikTok and whatever movies, film, it cannot compete. I think it's going to be similar with software development. Everybody can make code, but I think there's still going to be a place for professional software development. If you're going to vibe code your banking app, well, it's going to go wrong. It's just going to go wrong. No?
Good luck with that.
There are solutions that need to be created by professionals that know what they're doing, that think about the design, that try to create a qualitative piece of code by means of AI. I do not care, but it's going to be a skilled set of people that create code like banking apps. And it can be your CFO that is going to create a little bit of Python code to make a chart for a board deck. That is fine as well. They create code as well, but it's very, very different. It's very, very, very different. So yes, there's going to be 10 times more code, maybe even 100 times more code. If we do not watch this field properly, there's going to be 10 or 100 times more vulnerabilities. But let's focus on professional software development. And in that area, let's make sure we have skilled professionals that use the right tools, the right LLMs, Yes, they need testing and fixing afterwards. That's all part of the solution. All I'm saying is nothing has changed, I think, in my view. Nothing has changed. I hope we learned from the past, but nothing has changed. We still create software in a professional environment. We have a little bit of different tools, but that's my philosophy. Sorry, that was a long answer, but a lot of things came up in this discussion.
Yes, so but is that really gonna go? Say that we are 5 people. Let's create like a training app. A lot of people are training. We can create the app. We go into Lovable. We make the app. We forget to make it extra secure because we have a lot of sensitive data here. We will run it. We will get a domain. People sign up. Who is responsible now for the security? Is it Lovable that I made app with? Is it me that forgot to type in security?
It's you.
Vercel, Andre, what do you take here? You have to hand up.
I just want to insert a sigh about everyone is a builder attitude. I hope that LLM subscriptions go up enough so we stop that insanity. So not everyone is a builder again.
It's changing slowly, the Copilot is rising the prices and so on, and I see a lot of discussion in the different organization around this, to be able to limit who has access to, what subscriptions and how many tokens, or to limit, okay, management gets much less, or business part versus tech part.
Base 44. That's a AI spin-off of Wix, which is the site builder. That thing keeps following me on YouTube. And advertisement so dumb, and it keeps popping up. I now just turning off the sound, so I'm not frustrated with it so much. Just stop this, please.
But I mean, it's a lot of things moving on, right? We see that there's going to be a lot of vulnerabilities. We're going to produce a lot of more code. It's going to have more stuff in it. And also, the LLM will be better and better. And we also know that when we build code, the context where the code is running also has impact, right? But if we go back to the shift left movement here, and I mean, there's a lot of things that you hand over to developers here. Oh, by the way, you will get the Panabot alerts will be 2,000 critical tomorrow morning. By the way, you're also creating a lot more alerts, so the code fixes will also be 2,000, right? And we have tried fixing security with vulnerabilities dashboard where you can see the critical and high, and it has never worked, right? So, what is your take on helping solving this? Is it more? Are you just going to throw more AI on this stuff? How are we going to progress after the summer? How is the developer cycle going to look at them? Right?
If I may, I think, taking on to Andre's point about everyone is a builder, and that's something critical. And to your point, Mate, about who owns this. Is it Vercel? Is it Base 44? Is it Lovable? It's all of the above, and the builder, and you, and me, and Matthias, and Paulina.
Yeah.
Each one of us. And thank goodness for you dropping the shift left. I was trying not to be the first one to mention that, but this is shift left never really worked, and Matthias and I can probably attest to it. Shift left meant to us as security people throwing throwing stuff at the developer and saying, haha, I found a vulnerability, go fix it. That's not shift left. What shift left truly means, I think, in the modern age is closing the loop faster. It's not just identifying things. It's Lovable being able to say, hey, did you think about authentication? Hey, is this thing that you're going to deploy going to serve more than just you and me? Is it going to need to identify people? Is it going to need to authenticate them to something? Should we put that as part of it? You and I should be, again, as builders, responsible for being able to identify those things, whether it's coming from some sort of tech stack with fancy products or the native tools that we're using. That we will be able to point out, hey, you're doing something that exposes you to this type of attack. here's a fix for it. Would you like me to implement it? So again, it's more about closing the loop faster, as much left as possible. And even, if I'm looking at the experimentation that Matthias has done, that Active has done, when an LLM is charged with creating code, and again, I love Matthias's point about design. One of the first things that it does is sort of go through a planning phase. It's going through a design, and it's typically asking you, hey, this is what I came up with, would you like me to proceed? That loop where code is being designed, where code is being implemented, where code is being tested by the LLM itself before it even gets to you in your IDE, in your Git, that loop should include that detect and remediate and fix. And that would be the true shift left. We're even, in my perspective, we're even skipping the humans and shifting left all the way to the LLM so that there will be a cycle. There will be a part that says, here's a security check on it. I'm going to take everything that I know from all the massive databases that exist, CVEs, OWASP Top 10, ASVS, whatever it is, apply it, even to the single little application that I've just created, whether it's just us playing around or a major bank putting up a financial application. That loop will include the security identification, testing, fixing, just as well as it does for functionality. Yeah. And I think that that's the mindset that we should be looking at. That's the set of tools we should be looking to implement or to require from ourselves and from our providers. And when I'm choosing a vibe coding app, whether it's Cursor or GitHub or whatever it is, doesn't really matter. I want to see that as part of it. As much as I want to see that, again, as a CISO, when I implement my SDLC, that I have tools like Fortify, that I have tools like Secure Code Warrior to educate my developers, but I want to make sure that we meet them at every point. Yeah. And in the modern coding practices, that means at the vibe coding before they even get the code. Yeah. So that's my take on shift left. And again, sorry for kind of baiting you guys to drop that word, but that's to me what that means. It's full shift left past the human to the LLM.
Yeah, I wanted to actually bring the same here, because all of that shift left stuff is like we kind of not addressing the source of the problem. Like we trying to massage it around, like the consequences, but basically what we are dealing with is like imperfect output of human beings. Mm-hmm. I know it's not sounds very pro-humanity, but basically getting humans out of the loop. We had a previous episode about infrastructure as code, where we discussed it with Paulina, like infrastructure as code being the tool of change and manifestations of the intent of the change designed to work within the human organization so the humans don't kill each other and they can communicate through it. So like while humans are involved, we probably will have those problems. So the question is, either how do we get humans out of the loop? So I guess like LLM needs to be better. It could push back against the shitty, stupid ideas and not be just a human pleaser. So I don't know, but it feels like the source of the problem, like there is a saying, you go to the new country and here you are again, like the same you with the same problems. So we kind of need to look into that. And yeah, it doesn't sound like a pro-humanity, but that's how it is.
So if I may, like, I'm challenging a little bit, take the humans out of the loop, because you still need to say, there still needs somebody to tell what features and functions you need. Mm-hmm. And I don't, so I think it's the way you describe AI over here is more a way of automation. So I think the way we're going to create applications is going to be different. Instead of using a higher level language, you're going to use spoken text, for example, but you're not going to take the human out of the loop in this entire process. You still need somebody to instruct what is going to happen. So I think isn't it a natural progression of how we create software? Like if you think way back in the day, we wrote assembly code, and then some smart human said, it's a little bit silly to write assembly code. This is too hard. Let's make a higher level programming language like C or C++, where if you did assembly code, you need to know about registers and all of that stuff. Where if you go to C code, you need to know about buffer overflows, because that is the new thing, you know? And I think a new shift right now is if you go from a higher level programming language to spoken language, well, you still need to know about certain security things. Otherwise, if you do not instruct an LLM to create something in a secure way, it's not going to do it. So I think the things you need to know as a human are different, but I don't see how you can take the human out of the loop in software creation. I don't know.
No, I totally agree. And I love the fact that we're calling, higher level language things like Java and C and C++, while the true high level language is the language that we're speaking. That's the high level language.
Highest.
So yeah, it's English. It's, and so I agree with you, Matthias. Again, the human needs to be there. Someone needs to govern and provides, business insight. Like, this is what I meant. I want to make sure that this happens and that doesn't happen. And again, to your point, we can describe it in true high-level language. And to Andrei's point, get the human out of the loop in the things that we suck at. For example, again, I still remember the days where I used to program in assembly, in C. We suck at it because it's a lot of detail, because it's complicated, because it's in a language that we're not equipped to deal with as humans. And I think it's actually a great opportunity to keep humans at the high level language, again, English, remove the parts where we keep failing at, C, Java, Rust, whatever it is, and remove or increase the level of abstraction so we can describe what proper quality code and application looks like. It's not even code, it's functionality. This is the required functionality. And then lean on something that automates the translation to lower level languages that can do it better than us, that can do it with the guardrails, with the intent that we describe, and make sure, again, that loop is tight, that whatever it finds an issue, it can also fix it, not just poke at it, and close that loop and report back to us like, haha, here's what I did. Whether it's an existing bunch of code from 20 years ago or brand new code that was just generated in a couple of seconds.
The only problem that I see is back in the day when you think about compilers, they were deterministic. If you figured out there's a problem here, you move a couple bits around and the problem is gone for good. You know that, hey, it's going to be gone. Today, that is not the case. With LLMs, you're like, ooh, this is non-deterministic stuff. If I add this in there, it can be good for the next 2 weeks, but then suddenly there's a different thing popping up.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how that's going to play out. I struggle a little bit with that, where if you want to go to the highest level, you rely on something which is inherently unreliable. How do you do that?
You're preaching to the choir. And again, not to pitch anything. I truly think, I first of all, 100% agree. The level of determinism that needs to be part of that cycle has to increase. We cannot rely on pure LLMs, generative AI, which is non-deterministic, it's probabilistic, it's based on statistics, it's based on prediction. We can't rely on that as security people to secure our code. And that's why we need to couple the generative models with deterministic models, with models that provide accuracy, repeatability, and correctness. And again, that's the foundations of security. So again, I'm not to promote anything here. I'm that's what we're doing. That's what other companies in the space are doing. It's a hard battle because you need a new model. You cannot rely on an LLM that relies on statistics. But great point. And I think that we're seeing more and more kind of a trend to try to find that determinism. And personally, I don't, there's a lot of attempts to provide more kind of constraints to the non-deterministic models to try to turn them into deterministic.
Yeah,
it's just not natural. There's going to be a boundary at some point where it doesn't really matter how much you try to squeeze that non-deterministic model to produce a deterministic result. It's just not going to happen. You're going to skip.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my thoughts.
If I can react on that, like I really like that. And sometimes I feel we go backwards. Sometimes I feel we're taking a step back because, hear me out. There's just one example. AI fixing, let's talk about AI fixing. That is not, fixing is not a new thing. Like automatically fixing is not a new thing. 20 years ago in IntelliJ, you had quick fix technology that you could modify yourself. Yes, it took some time to set that up. And this is the biggest struggle. People are like, ugh, work. I do not want to do work. But 20 years ago, there was quick fix technology. And with a configuration, with Alt-Enter, you could fix a problem for good across the code base, always in the same way. It was, always. And by the way, the biggest enemy of software development is not doing consistent. If you're not doing the same thing in a consistent way, that is the biggest enemy. So with that technology, 20 years ago, you could get rid of a lot of problems. Here we are today. We're like, I do not want to do work. How about let's make an AI fix my code, and it fixes this 20 times in 20 different ways. And 5 years from now, we're going to have the AI mess. Maybe 3 years from now, it's going to be a gigantic pile of code that nobody knows how it works. And that's going to be it. So, sometimes I feel we're going backwards because we're all too much relying on machines. The machines are going to do everything.
Andre, you have your hand up here as well.
I like the comments. I like the idea of giving a wall for LLM to bang its heads against because it needs a way to verify its work. So that resonates. It kind of works in the same way as we giving that wall to the developers, or like pull request. Here's your stuff. Work on it.
Yeah.
The same with LLM, but just faster. The same thing. And another non-pro-humanity camp argument is that determinism of the software developers is also kind of maybe not the highest in the world. I mean, today you have one engineer, tomorrow he's bored, he quits, and now all this pile of beautiful code that only he who understands turns into the legacy. What you gonna do about that? Or like if he's hangover, you have bus factors. So yeah, there is quite a bit of determinism problem in the industry. Either AI, either humans, both came with the same flaws, and that's kind of ironic, I think.
Ooh, can I react on that? I really would like to react on that, because so my philosophy is, I hear you. Humans are not deterministic. AI is not deterministic. But let's say we want to go into that direction and we think that humans and AI can coexist in the future and we're going to create software. Then my philosophy is we need to move both parties up. We need to upskill both parties.
Yes.
We need to make our humans better so that they know what they do. And they need to use an AI solution, but we need to figure out what that AI solution is doing so that we can make the AI solution better. Let's say we add more training, or we add some more rules or skills or whatever we're going to call it in the future around that. But when we pick something up that the humans need to do better, we need to, again, upskill the humans in that area. So if we go into that direction, I still think that the machines are not going to win. I still think you need to upskill both parties. You need to make the humans better, more skilled, and you need to make the machines better, more skilled. If that is out of balance, if the humans are better than the machines, it's not going to work. If the machines are better than the humans, it's not going to work. You're going to have crappy code. But you need to push both sides forward. Otherwise, and they need to be in balance, otherwise it's not going to work. I'm 100% convinced about that.
The question is, who can do recursive improvement faster?
That is just one example.
That's what we're all doing. That's what we're all doing. And by the way, to your point, Matthias, I don't think it's really going backwards. I think we need to go backwards a little bit because we went too much forward in the non-deterministic way. Again, we need non-deterministic parts of AI, for that iterative, for that creative part, but we need to ground it with something deterministic. I'm not saying that all AI should be deterministic. I'm saying that we need, to your point, it's that balance. And right now it's out of balance. So yeah, it might feel like moving backwards a little bit by introducing some determinism. We're not removing the non-deterministic part. We're just introducing a grounding effect. And I think that, on the same way that we're doing that, we're also addressing your point about the balance between the AI advancements and the human advancement. So I truly think it's sort of a pendulum swing that naturally happens to correct for something that was out of balance. So again, and Andre, I'm with you in the non-pro-human side. I think that there's a lot of opportunities that we can remove humans from. but to Matthias's point, those opportunities enable us as humans to do better things in other areas that we don't like doing.
Ian, what you're essentially saying is you need to find the right LLM or the right solution for the right problem. If you have a problem statement, I need to make an application in Java and it's a banking app. At that point in time, you need to look, where can I find skilled humans that know which LLMs to use with what rule set to create the right banking app? That is the best ROI that I will get. 100%. If I need to make an home automation app for my own home here, I can just let it run and let whatever LLM make an app, and it's going to create something which is highly insecure, but it's on localhost 8080 and I'm just fine. So I think it's finding the right solution for the problem at hand.
But is that what you see now, that we need to teach developers, or we all that's working with LLM, like you need to find design what you're building, like, is this really sensitive? Is this data what am I holding? Like, where am I running this? And then also choose the LLM for you that can help you. And then different LLM, maybe one that will coach you when you plan it, and then another one that apply it. Is this the knowledge that we need to upskill ourselves with now, or?
Yeah, but so I think your question is, if you have a team of non-human side here, if you have a team of 10 people creating a piece of software, can you do it with one person? But how many credits are you going to burn? Maybe you're going to burn credits the amount of 2 people. So that means that you're paying 3 salaries instead of 10. That is efficiency. That is efficiency. Yeah. But the other way around may happen as well, where you have a team of 2 that are a well-oiled machine, and you add a little bit of credits in there and they go super fast. Yeah. Okay, if you would replace one with a little bit of credits, they're just going to make a gigantic mess that you need to clean up later. So I think it's finding the right balance again, like what is the problem at hand, and then let's figure out the amount of humans, the amount of machines, and then the complete picture.
Do you think that developer will be like more dedicated to different areas? Like this is Andre, he's going to be in charge of authentication now and users in this project, and this is Paulina, she's going to be head of the backend services and create LM for all that, or it's going to be...
So, yeah, my philosophy is I think there's going to be just a big divide between really good developers and not so good. Like, you know what I'm saying, right? So if we have 100 developers today, let's say 20 are really, really skilled. Yeah. I'm convinced that with LLMs, they're going to go faster. They know how to use an LLM. They know how to ask a question, to get the answer, to do the right things. Those 20 people are going to be super, super skilled. The other 80, I don't know. I literally do not know. But there's going to be more software developers because your CFO is going to start coding as well. Everybody in the organization is going to be given co-work or whatever, you know.
Yeah, I personally think that the definitions that we've been using so far, front end, back end, are going to go away. It's not a skill set that's needed anymore. It's not a specialty that's needed anymore. And to Matthias's point, I think we're going to end up with the 20%. Everyone is going to have to become that 20%, and the 80% is going to be your CFO, your whatever it is, and the 20% are going to be those true developers. You know, Andre said before, everyone's a builder. I agree. Everyone's a builder. Not everyone is a developer.
Correct.
Not everyone is a software engineer. And I think Matthias is pointing out to the fact that The software engineers will have to be the professionals, the kind of the people that we call architects these days, the principals, the people who can master, who understand front end, back end, UI, UX, security, DevOps. That's where true software engineer is going to end up at, with the right, and again, with the education and the understanding of what is the right tool set, what is the right combination of LLMs and deterministic models and grounding and tech stacks that I need to choose for this project, for this application, for this functionality. So it's going to be much more functionality based rather than, again, the old archaic, back end, front end. Back in the days, we used to have database operators like, who does sysadmin or DBA anymore? So I think that's where the shift is leading us to.
Do you think it's gonna shrink the number of people on the market with this?
I refuse to make predictions around that. It's yeah. I truly think that again, number of people that's going to fluctuate, just like with every industrial modernization effect. Some jobs are going to be left out. Some jobs are going to be replaced by those higher level jobs. The software engineer that I was talking about, the architect, you don't need someone to do, again, you'd be hard pressed to find a true DBA these days, unless they're maintaining some archaic, kind of Oracle database in a bank or something like that.
You would be surprised by public sector.
As I said, archaic.
Also hyperscalers, they vacuum those people up.
Yeah.
But again, these are very specialty, jobs. The majority of software developers or software engineers will not have to deal with that.
Well, I do want to make one comment on, will there be more software developers or less software developers? Logically you would think less software developers. I'm not entirely sure, because what I see in organizations that do really well is that, first of all, they hire more software developers because they're doing really well. But then secondly, that they're finally able to deliver the features that they promise to their customers because they are getting more efficient. Okay. And for a long, long time, pretty much for forever up until now, every organization said, this is what we're going to do, and that is what we're going to do, and we need to do this and that. And they tried to hire more software developers. They couldn't get any more software developers, and they were not able to keep up with the features and with all the visions that they had. So we're finally in a moment in time where, and I'm not even sure if we are here yet, that we can finally produce all the features that we want and that we dream of. I don't think we're even here yet. So there's even a counter argument. So logically, you would think, yes, there are going to be less software developers in the future. Not software, feature creators or whatever you want to call it. People creating code. So I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, isn't that also like, because as you said before, like everybody's a builder now, and if you're a company, before you have to go to Jira to get your ticket system, and it was never a really good fit, right? And they had so many features, because then the more company used them, some feature was working. But now, actually, you can make your own ticket system kind of simple, right? If you have a builder that can work with it, which means instead of going to Jira, you just get a hire a software developer, maybe cheaper than paying for Jira, and then you have your own ticket system, right? So more custom built services maybe for your application.
But I think, we go then into maintenance costs, because when you have to use tokens to be able to maintain it, you need to use time to be able to maintain new system, yeah? So not everyone can do it. But I think we need to wrap up, because we lost Andre, and some others needs to go soon as well. So any last things you wanna, sum up and give to the listeners?
We planned on 35 minutes. I love the fact that we're at almost 50 minutes and it's hard for us to wrap things up. I think that really is an attestation to the fact that this is super relevant. It's very greenfield. We still have a lot of problems to solve. And again, as you can see from the discussion, we're not really certain. We're where that goes. We know some of the basic elements need to be resolved. We know, I think we all recognize closing the loops faster, bringing, mixing and matching skills, both from a human and an AI perspective, is where it needs to be. But, from my perspective, phenomenal discussion. Really appreciate the opportunity here.
Yeah, same for me. Thank you so much for having me. A really interesting discussion. A lot of unknowns. I can see a direction which this is going into, but yeah, I'm very curious to see where we will be 2, 3. I cannot even think 5 years from now. That's too far for me.
I think that's the take. Like, nobody knows where we're gonna be in to the summer. I don't know, 2-3 months. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna press stop. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you so much.
All right.
You have been listened to DevSecOps Talks with Matthias, Andre, and Paulina. For notes and information, please visit devsecops.fm. Thanks for tuning in.